enjoy the ride with Crystal Petry. Consulting, so inspiring. Wishing you to.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of 60 Minutes With. I'm your host, Crystal Petry. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, make sure and subscribe to my podcast right now. On this week's episode of 60 Minutes With, I am joined and I am overjoyed to have Earlie Hudnall Jr., a renowned photographer. On this episode, he's going to talk about his roots in photography. And also, we are going to look at how he has captured the Black life, the Black lived experience through pictures. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Earlie.
Thank you.
I'm really trying to contain my excitement and come off as professional with you. I came to see your exhibit, and we are at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas in downtown Beaumont, Texas. I came to see your exhibit, and I was just blown away. For the first time, when I walked into a museum, I felt seen, and that has never happened. I am a lover of museums, so I have visited museums all across the U.S., but this is the first time that I have felt seen. So tell me about the exhibit here in Beaumont, Texas at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas.
Well, what do you want to know?
Oh my God. Okay, so the name of it is Homeward.
Yes.
Tell me, how did you come up with that title?
Well, I didn't.
Okay.
The museum director here who curated the exhibit came up with the title.
Okay. Now, when I say we are sitting in the middle of your exhibit, which we literally are, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's a good feeling. It's like community, because these are images that I've made within the community of Houston primarily, and this is what the exhibit focuses on, is Houston inner city.
And how many exhibits have you had?
Gee whiz, numerous of them.
Where have they been? Where are some of the places that they've been located? Again, we are in Beaumont, Texas, so obviously your exhibit is here. Where are some other cities that you've had?
Well, gee whiz, most recently it was in the Museum of Fine Arts.
And where's that located?
In Houston, Texas. We have the Grace Museum in Abilene. Most recently had a show there. The Dirty South, an exhibit that started from the Virginia Museum of Art that traveled through several states. And there's just been numerous of shows that I have been a part of rather than just a one-person show.
You were born in 1946 in the state of Mississippi and then made your way and came to Texas as quick as possible.
Not necessarily.
So let's talk about your upbringing. Tell me, how was it being born and raised in Mississippi and then coming into Texas?
Well, for me, it was just like anyone's normal upbringing. I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters, my mother, my father, and my grandmother. My grandmother lived early next door to us, and my father worked on the railroad. My mother was a homemaker, and I lived in a community where as a boy growing up, we was able to have, numerous of experiences after school and so forth. And so this is how it was, and it was always a busy life. We had a garden. We kept chickens. We had a goat named Lady Toy. We had a mule named Cora. My father kept a hog for the fall of the year. In other words, he moved from the country, but he brought the country with him to the city. I lived 4 blocks from the high school. I lived 6 blocks from William Carey College, which is now William Carey University. And so I had a good upbringing.
And how did you and when did you come to Texas?
I came to Texas in 1968, September 1968. After I had was out of the Marine Corps. I served in Vietnam, and I came to Texas to study art at Texas Southern University.
Texas Southern University, a historically black college and university. When you were growing up, I guess maybe before you got into the Marine Corps, maybe even after, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be an artist.
So you've always wanted to be an
Yeah,
artist?
uh-huh.
Okay.
And that's why I came to Texas to study art. Photography was a side love based upon my father being an amateur photographer. And an amateur photographer, what I mean by that is just on special occasion for the family. You had the box cameras at that time
Okay.
that you pull out every now and then for a special occasion such as Easter Sundays, fall of the year when we got new school clothes, things of this nature. When my grandmother and her sister, we called her Duke, we would walk to Sunday school in the morning, and sometimes he would make pictures of us at that time. And that was it. So a boy wanting to be like his father, I was always fascinated by the camera.
When you got to Texas Southern University, located in Houston, Texas, you wanted to be an artist. When did you pivot to photography?
Well, I guess, I don't know. I guess from a high school experience of the teachers teaching us the difference between a chemical change and a physical change. Matching a piece of paper, lighted, physical change. The chemical change, drugstore negative, light box 1001, 1002 into the developer. Then photography, the image appears and it develops up. I guess at that time the seed was planted. But I bought a small camera, the same as my father, when I went to Vietnam after I was out of boot camp. And I just began to make pictures throughout my tour of duty when it was possible, when we wasn't in the field on combat duty or whatever. And so when I came to Texas, I met a guy named Nathaniel Sweets, who was a photography major. And he was making photographs one day. It was a Juneteenth. And I said, hey, I have a camera in my room. He said, why don't you go and get it? I can develop the film. And so at that point, my connection with Texas Southern University and photography in Houston, this is where it all began.
What kind of camera did you buy? Do you remember the name of it?
Which one?
The first one you bought whenever you went
Well,
to
I had a
Vietnam.
little Kodak Instamatic,
Okay.
which was the camera that has the cartridges that goes in the back, and you advance it, the
Yes.
Kodak Instamatic that you look through, snap the picture.
Yes.
And that was easy because I could keep it in my backpack, and if it got waterlogged, I could take it and continue to shake it out, dry it out, and keep advancing it until it was still working. And it was a very doable little camera.
You stated that you took a class in high school teaching you about, was
No.
it in high school?
No.
Okay.
It was a high school experience,
High school experience.
experiment,
Okay.
really. And the physics instructor was teaching us the difference between a chemical change and a physical change. He
Okay.
used a match and a piece of paper for the physical change. He used the drugstore negative for the chemical change. Then there was that connection between my father making pictures and actually seeing the photograph. Now I am experiencing the process. And then my grandmother kept a photo album of all of family pictures, pictures that my father had collected while he was in military service. And at a young age, I began to understand the importance of documenting one's community, who we are and what we do from day to day. And this is what I've carried with me my whole time of coming to Texas. I've always been intrigued by communities, what happens within the community, how people live, what they do from day to day, the universality of the human spirit.
Did you take any classes, photography classes, or you just
I
primarily
did take
self-
classes
Okay.
as an elective at TSU. Photography was my minor, art was my major. I have a degree in art education and I minored in photography.
And what were those classes like?
Oh, they was interesting because it was something that came natural, something that I was interested in. And I think when you have an interest, you put forth an effort to more or less to go up, take one step beyond.
And you stated that initially you wanted to be an artist. What aspect of artistry did you want to pursue?
Well, art education at Texas Southern prepared the student to be able to become an art teacher. We had to be proficient in sculpture, ceramics, and drawing, weaving, and mural painting, as well as painting. So that means the philosophy of the art department was you can have a job, teach art, and at the same time you can practice your own art. But it provided you with the resources of being able to make a living. Because just being an artist on your own out there and say, I'm going to paint and I'm going to be able to live and survive, it's a far-fetched thing. Everybody can't reach their goals that particular way. But if you have income and a kind of a way to live, then you can take your time and you can paint what you want. You can do what you want.
When did you decide that photography was going to be the way that you go?
Well, I didn't decide. Photography was always a love after I was introduced to the darkroom for the first time at TSU. Then Dr. Freeman hired me as a photographer for the Model Cities program after I had taken a class from Mr. Evans, the photography instructor. And Dr. Freeman was looking for a photographer. At the time, I was Mr. Evans' student assistant. And Dr. Freeman came to me and asked, are you Earlie Hudnall? I need a photographer. Will you come to my office and talk to me? I did. And this was during President Johnson's Great Society, the Model Cities program, which was at TSU at that time. And that allowed me to go out into the community to document certain aspects of the community for the program. And I first started photographing outside of TSU in the 4th Ward area, which was west of downtown Houston. And I fell in love with that community, the clapperboard housing, the duplex housing, the houses close together, the shotgun houses that was there. And it was a contained community which was west of downtown. So I would go there on the weekends, after school, on the weekends when I wasn't working, and make photographs. And so doing that along with little commercial jobs, shooting weddings, as photographers, we was able to more or less to try different experiments. I participated in exhibitions wherever I could. The first exhibit outside the university was at the Jewish Community Center. I would participate in that each year. And whenever there was something about photography that was going on, I was going to be front and center.
And speaking of exhibits, we are in the middle of one of your exhibits right now that is located at the Southeast Texas Art Museum in downtown Beaumont, Texas. Your exhibit is going to be here until March 30th of 2024, so you still have several weeks to come out and view this amazing exhibit. We are going to look at several of the photographs that Mr. Earling has posted here in the exhibit, but again, this is going to be here until March 30th, 2024. Please come and view this exhibit. It's located at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas in Beaumont, Texas. Photography, you stated you fell in love with photography. What does photography do for you emotionally?
Well, it allows me to regress and go back and come forth. It's memory. Photograph stimulates the memory. When you can't quite put things in perspective as far as memory, look at a photograph. It carries you back to the event, to the time. And this is the love of what I see. Then again, It's a connection with the past and the future. And what I mean, the future, you see the image as it is there. It reminds me always of something that have occurred, of an experience that I've had in my life, and the things that I've seen, the places I've gone. And I realized that a lot of the things, the scenes, the people that I photographed, the universality of the human spirit, that I won't see it that way again. So each and every day, there's a new subject, there's a new way of seeing. The art of seeing how we look and how we see and how we remember. The photograph stimulates our memories.
I've never thought about, you said so many great things. Number one, you never see the same thing the exact same way.
No.
Ever again. I've never thought about it like that.
You can travel a street, the community, outside of any building that you see or people. You never see it the same. Now, don't get what I'm saying. The buildings are stable. Every day there's something different that happens in front on this particular area, this street or whatever. And these are the kinds of things that motivate one to want to capture it. Why? So people can look at it and see and remember. You know, we often see the artifacts of our past, but we never actually see the people. We don't see always what is intact. We remember, and most of the time, most people say, I remember when. But a photograph documents what was there. And this is the beauty and the joy, things that I enjoy doing.
Something else you said that really sparked my excitement was photography allows you to connect the future with the past.
Sure.
Explain that, please.
Well, the future, you can look at the photograph and determine where you want to go. You can look at a photograph, at least I can, and determine what I want to do next. That's the future. The past is that you relate to what you have more or less made the picture of. You connect with your memory, what you remember and what you have experienced. So, from that standpoint of view, this is what it is to me. And from it,
A lot of your pictures have people in them. I think probably all of them, or at least 95% of them have people in them. How do you get people to pose for your pictures?
I know.
Really?
No.
So what do? Do you just take their pictures?
I make their pictures. I don't take a picture.
Okay, explain that, please.
Well, you know, people say, shoot the picture.
Yes.
Well, I don't have anything to shoot the picture with. They say, take the picture.
That's what I say.
I don't see a picture there to take. So I have to make the picture. I have to compose the picture. I have to adjust the camera. I have to, in an instant of a moment. You know, but when I go out, I have to be familiar with my craft, number one. I have to have an eye. And then again, there has to be this mental and physical connection to the subject. It has to be a stimulus, a way of seeing it, you know. And then again, you utilize light. You utilize your charm in a way of respecting your subject, no matter what it is and who it is. It's because the subject is given to you. So you take from that, you make the picture. And this is what photographers do. So I make pictures of things that I see. And, you know, this is what I am about.
So let me correct my vocabulary here. When you make the pictures of the people, do you know these people?
In most instances, literally no. Connection accordingly to the spirit between people, how we connect with an individual? Yes. A lot of people I'll talk to, but when you speak to a person and you interrupt a person from what they're doing, well then again you get a posed picture. I don't pose pictures. I walk, I talk, and as I approach a person, I respect that individual. And I will nod, we may make eye contact, and it's a silent connection. And I can determine when they give me permission to invade their space and make a photograph.
I have never heard of that before. Normally, if someone is making a photograph, they know the person within. It's not, it sounds to me like these people are strangers to you.
Well, some of them may be strangers as how we said, but I worked at Texas Southern for a number of years as the university photographer. So a lot of people in different neighborhoods know me. Kids that is grown, people that I see, from photographing the parade, from documenting things that is going on. I worked for a small newspaper, the Informer newspaper. So I would go out on scenes to make photographs of different events that we needed for the paper. So I was always out in the community and with the camera, and people in one sense knew of me, of seeing me. Then again, how you approach. I grew up as a boy who was taught to respect your elders, who was taught to respect people, and I still do that to this day. And so this is my approach. It's gentle. I don't stalk a person. I don't just walk up and say, I want to make you a picture. You know, I start a conversation, or I'll speak, and they see me, they feel comfortable. I'll raise my camera, we'll talk, and I'll make a picture. And in most cases, they never say, will I see that? Will you bring me a copy? I'll ask sometime, and I'll take back a copy. A lot of people I never see again. And it's, you know, this is how life is. But as I travel, wherever I go, I'm always making pictures without the camera. Because I see people, and I always, and sometimes I'll say, I'll never see this scene again. I'll never see this person again. And then again, you try to capture the character of people that others can identify with, the things that you see. And the joy that I get is when people visit and see an exhibit and say, this person reminds me of my grandfather, or this person reminds me of my sister, or I remember my mother telling me about this. And so this is the joy of walking and observing and watching and hearing the response to people to the given photographs.
That's exactly how I felt, and that was my authentic reaction when I came to see your exhibit here at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas. Again, we are in Beaumont, Texas. We're sitting in the middle of Mr. Earlie's exhibit right now. I seen so many people that I knew. I seen so many neighborhoods that I knew. Again, I just felt seen in this exhibit. In this space, I felt seen. So some of the pictures are behind us.
Mm-hmm.
All of the pictures are in black and white. Why is that?
It's a medium that I love. As I stated earlier, the darkroom, I love to develop and print in the darkroom. It's an art form. To me, it's an expansion of my art, the way in which, I draw, I can paint, I can sculpt, but photography has provided me a lifestyle, a means of being able to work within a medium that I love and earn a living and provide for my family. So the darkroom is something, I still print in the darkroom. I still print from the traditional standpoint of view. I can control the tones. I can determine how light, how dark I want it. And so this is something that I love. And it's challenging to each time to try to make a better print than the first one that you made.
I know what my takeaway was when I saw your exhibit. What do you want people who come to your exhibit, for example, the one here in Beaumont, Texas at the Art Museum, what do you want their takeaway to be?
Well, it's up to the individual. He or she has to come to his own conclusion when they see the exhibit, that it is refreshing to them from the standpoint that they can identify with the subject, even though they may not know them, but it creates memory and inspiration to the individual. The individual has to come to his own conclusion as to how it affects them. Hopefully, it's all in a positive way.
Absolutely. What is your personal intention with photography?
Is to continue to document communities, small communities, wherever I go, whether it's in Houston or wherever I travel outside of the U.S., whatever. I love to get off of the beaten path to see how people live, how they toil, how they rejoice, how they really is just normal, everyday people. And these are the kinds of things that I strive to capture in my work.
I feel like in this exhibit that you captured the everyday lived experience of Black Americans. Explain to me why that was the focus.
Well, this is where I live. I think that our communities has to be documented in such a way. And this is why I continue to work within primarily the African American community. But wherever I go, Belize, Haiti, down to Tanzania, even into Argentina, to Paris, to Rome, to Brazil, places I've gone and photographed. Still, I get off of the beaten path. I go to see how the everyday people live. This is what I always have been, wanting to do. And it's a sense of home. Mm-hmm.
Do you think you'll ever stop taking pictures?
Why?
Or making photography?
Why?
I don't know.
No. I will photograph and make images as long as I'm physically able to do so. Even though I have tons of negatives to print that I haven't printed. But I will always, as long as this is my God-given talent, or either, how can you say, what I was destined to do. I do not know what tomorrow will bring, but if I am able to pick up the camera and go out and make a photograph, or go into the dark room and make an image from a negative that I have not printed, but one that I want to print, I get a request from people that say, do you have, can I get? And from time to time, I will find an image for an old friend. And it's a stimulus that I'll send it to them. And it starts a conversation. And it's a connecting. And then we connect. And it brings back memories, and you tell stories and so forth, and all of those kinds of things. But this is what life is about. It's memories and future endeavors. So for me, the future is to continue to work as long as I'm physically able to.
We are in your exhibit here in Beaumont, Texas, at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas. The exhibit ends March 30th, 2024, so please make your way out here. You still have several weeks that the exhibit is going to be up and open to the public. Again, it leaves March 30th, 2024 at 5 p.m. So you still have time to make it to Beaumont, make it to this museum, and experience this exhibit. When your exhibits are over, so this one is going to be over March 30th, 2024, what happens to the pictures? Do they send them back to you?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you do with them? Do you have like a huge storage, I would imagine?
Yeah, I store them, and I have another show coming up next summer in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, my hometown. And so some of these will be used for that, and I will include some images from the state of Mississippi, probably Georgia, North Carolina. You know, I will arrange an exhibit. Either the curator from there will probably visit me and make a selection of their own.
Okay, so Mr. Earlie, let's talk about this picture of the beautiful, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous, the beautiful black little girl. This is like an Easter dress. You know, you have the jacket on top with the little flower in the middle. So tell me about this picture. Where was this? How did you make this picture?
Well, I made this picture at home, at the back door
Okay.
of my deck,
Okay.
leading into the dining room of my daughter, Margaret Elise.
This is your daughter?
Yes.
How old is she in this picture?
I think she's 6 years old in that photograph.
And you've kept it this long?
Of course.
So why did you decide to put this one in the exhibit?
Well, because I wanted to include something of my family.
Okay.
And the curator selected this image.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, and what is this that she's holding?
It's a pomegranate. We keep and plant fruit, tangerines, papayas, pomegranate, and avocados in the backyard.
Okay, so you're really continuing the tradition that your father started.
Yeah, well, my wife, Brenda, was a gardener as well. She loved flowers, and we had an orange tree in the backyard. We would gather oranges and a big basket of oranges, and I would make pictures of them together, or pictures of Margaret by the orange tree this way. And so one day she had on this dress, and I don't know if we had made some pictures in the backyard in a swing. And after we finished, I picked up the pomegranate, and I said, Margaret, the light was so beautiful. I said, stand here. And she stood there at the door. And I made that picture in the doorway with natural light.
Okay, amazing. Did you tell her not to smile?
No.
Because it
No.
really,
No.
okay.
Then I would be interfering.
That's right, that's right.
Let it come natural.
Yes.
And this is what? So she was listening to her father. This is Spider. That's her nickname.
Okay.
Spider.
Okay, let's move on to our next picture. Okay, so the next picture that we're looking at, this is a funeral, correct?
Yes, it is.
Why would you want to capture this moment?
It's a part of life.
True. But
That
such
it
a
is.
devastating.
But it is a fraternal procedure that you're seeing, that farewell my brother is welcome, or either more or less sending off the deceased. And so all aspects of life need to be documented.
Even death?
Even death.
So did you know anyone here or did you know the deceased? How did you come to this?
That portion I do not remember. It may have been an assignment from the newspaper, but this ceremony that is taking place was really, it was a lesson, and it was something that interests me, the scene, the Masons, and I wanted to have an opportunity to make a picture of this experience.
What feeling and emotion did this picture evoke for you as you were in that moment?
A lot. Some that I won't talk about.
This picture is just so like joy rising, I feel. It's titled The Rascals. We have 4 African American little boys just look like they're just having fun on their bikes and their scooters. So explain to me this picture.
Well, as I travel or walk in the community, this picture was made on the first day of the year, after first of the new year. These boys were riding their new bikes. They said, "Hey, mister, take our picture." I said, "Okay." And this is how they pose. You see the individuality?
Yes.
One pulling his ears, one pulling down his eyes, other one crossing his arm. So, personality that is coming out.
It really, like you captured every last one of them in this picture.
Sure.
And I think one of the reasons I love this is because for me, I feel like we don't see this enough. We don't see not just African American little boys, but kids.
This is universal. Mm-hmm. We know with kids.
Yes.
And the thing is, if I had asked them, okay, let me make your picture, come this way, move this way, then it would not have the same flavor. It would not affect the viewer the same. So from a natural standpoint of view, I have to more or less follow what I see and then make an effort to make the picture. As you would say, to take the picture. Yes. As someone else would say, take the picture.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
As they might would say, take it, but they were busy posing and expounding their personality. Mm-hmm. And so in doing so, there all kind of memories run through my mind as a boy, going back, skating, and on a tricycle the day after Christmas and so forth. So these experiences, based upon my experiences as a boy growing up, this is what I was able to capture.
So I'm assuming if they said, "Hey, mister, take my picture," were you just walking down the street with your camera?
Well, what I do in neighborhoods, I walk. You get a chance to see people. You get a chance to hear the sounds. You get a chance to smell the air. Or you get a chance to hear the voices of what is taking places and so forth. And at our level, you can see and you feel. And so this is what I do.
This one I love so much because I feel like you just capture this person's beauty. And the reason that's so important to me is because normally when we see someone like this in the media or newspaper or social media with the tattoos, the pants sag and the hat on, cricket, you get a negative message, you get a negative connotation, but in your picture, it is just beautiful to me. How were you able to capture such beauty?
Naturally, as I saw it. This picture was made on the side, or at the side of a convenience store. The names in the background, a lady was telling me that the people's there is almost like a shrine of memories, because the majority of the names of people on that wall met some sort of untimely demise.
Okay.
And this was after the George Floyd incident in Houston. And I went into the community where George grew up at, which was close to Jackie Yates High School, the CUNY homes, across the street, around a few blocks from Texas Southern University. And he was talking with someone when I drove up. So I got out, I had my camera, and I began to make photographs. And this is how this picture came about.
Some of the names on this picture we have are Ken, Erica, Cheese, Tamika, T-Boy, Big Mo, who is a huge rapper that was in Houston, DJ Screw, another huge rapper that was in Houston, both, as you stated, met untimely demise. But this picture, and did you name it? It's called Why. Did you name it that?
Yes. You see the word up here, cry, you barely see.
Oh, at the very top, yes.
And cry, I started to name it and called it Cry. But then again, with all of what was going on at that particular time, I just said, why? And then again, you look at the names here that you call, and then there's a name on this wall of a person called Junebug. Junebug was my father's cousin who lived across the street from us. And when I saw that, and there's nicknames of people that we know or we knew that you can identify with.
Yes.
And so it becomes, that kind of a thing that affects you, that you see.
Yes.
And it's a memory that you can look back at it and enjoy.
Oh my God. I mean, it is just absolutely beautiful. And I just feel like with the snap of your camera, with you making this picture, you completely rewrote the narrative about what people should think and feel when they see someone like this.
Yes. Well, for me, it's a respond. I can't pose a picture. I do it with group shots and things of this nature. But I never pose, even in the studio. I may sit there and talk with a person 15, 20 minutes till they feel relaxed. Then I would start making photographs rather than sit down, boom, click, 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 click. Okay, thank you. You do it every once in a while if you need a quick hit, supposedly a headshot or something for this nature. That was at work. But for me in the community, it gives me time to relax. The camera is a way of relaxing.
So I'm assuming that you do not count the person down like most people do when they're taking a picture.
No.
They will say 1, 2, 3, snap.
No.
So
No. No, you can't do that.
Because that's what I do.
You kill the spirit.
Okay, so this picture, what I took away from it was, and this picture is in Houston, correct?
Yes.
So normally when people think about Houston, or they're flying over, or they're about to land in Houston, they see all of the tall buildings, the beautiful skyscrapers, things like that. But what I took from this picture was this part of Houston is the real part of Houston. The homes, the garbage cans on the outside waiting to be picked up. That's what I felt like was truly, truly Houston. And then we have the tree that has grown over the road. So why was it important for you to take this picture? And then the way you took it, you showed like the street level of Houston as well as the sky level of Houston.
Well, this picture is made in the 4th Ward area. And there's a contrast between the architecture and the skylines, the way in which the utility lines run, and how they dissect and how they connect. The garbage cans, the waste cans, more or less document the time from the standpoint of when Houston started most communities across the country began to use these kinds of cans that eliminated the job from the guys riding on the back of the truck. They would reach down and grab the garbage, throw it into the back, two guys on the back of the truck riding and so forth.
I
Now,
never thought
all
about
that's
that.
done mechanical. But
Yes.
it's a good contrast of time with the can. Look at the tree, the beauty of the tree, how it have been manicured, or how it leans away from the utility lines. Look at the architecture within the buildings. Look at the beauty of the craftsmanship of the workers who actually end up building the home. And so the contrast and the encroachment of the commercial community, how it is encroaching or approaching this area. So
So,
it's changing.
so you're saying that the tree was done like this on purpose? I thought
No,
that.
I'm saying that the tree might have been manicured
Okay.
because of the utility lines. But it's ironic that the tree is bending. It may have happened from a storm, that the tree was slightly blown over or away in such a way.
Okay.
But I love the beauty of it because the tree said, let me stand back so you can get the houses and the skyline at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
It's almost like if the tree understood what I was about to do.
Yes. The tree understood the assignment.
Yes.
Yes.
But the tree said, I have been waiting for you for a number of years.
This is beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, the next picture that we're looking at is an obvious, beautiful mother just loving and maybe comforting her beautiful baby boy. Tell me about this picture.
Well, Hurricane Katrina affected a lot of people.
Yes.
And families were families were in line for handout for ice, for food, and these kinds of things. Water was scarce and all of this. So this lady and her son was in line, and this was the very sacred moment between a mother and child. And so this is where I ended up camping at that particular time.
She is so invested in her son. Her eyes are closed, his eyes are closed. Did she even realize you were taking this picture?
No.
It's beautiful. It really shows the love of a mother and a child. And that's across the spectrum. That's not just in the Black community.
That's universal.
It's universal.
That's universal. That's the human spirit. That's touch.
That is.
The first human touch that a newborn baby has is mother.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
something that is sacred to all of us.
Wow. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This picture, I feel like is just naturally beautiful. You know what? I just noticed she has bullets on her. I did not notice that when I came here. Before to look at the exhibit. Okay. So what I was going to say is this picture is just naturally beautiful. A beautiful Black woman, looks like no makeup, maybe minimal makeup, natural beautiful hair in an afro, and she has bullets strapped around her on her shoulder. So tell me about this picture.
She's the sister of the revolution.
She is.
Now this is a studio photograph. There was a studio in Houston. Mr. Herbert J. Provost had Provost Studios. He made school photographs across Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And he allowed me to use his darkroom in the evenings. After school was closed, the university, we couldn't go back to work in the evenings. And so I had to find a different outlet. And so Mr. Provost would allow me to use his studio. And this lady came in one day, one evening, and she wanted some photographs made. So this is how she actually posed at that particular time. And it's the studio shot.
And she came in with the bullets on her like that.
She came in and she changed into what I don't quite remember.
Okay.
But if you come to have a photograph made, you may bring a jacket, you may bring several outfits, or whatever. And then again, this is the result of our conversation.
Okay. She epitomizes what you would think when you hear that title, Sister of the Revolution.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Angela Davis during that time.
Yes, absolutely.
The Black
That's another
Panthers.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Epitomizes that of the revolution. This picture that we're looking at, I love because it's just a beautiful black man. And we don't see, I feel like, we don't see enough pictures of just a beautiful black man being beautiful and being black and being a man. So tell me about this picture.
This is Mr. Shine.
Okay.
Mr. Shine was standing on a canopy at the newspaper where I worked at the Informer newspaper. And as I pulled up in my car, he was about a distance from me. I had a long lens. And the way in which the sun was shining in the evening is that I raised the camera and he smiled and I made the picture and he nodded and I went my way and he went his way. So, in other words, what I'm saying, these kinds of connections, people give to me and I make an image, I hope, that inspires other people. And it's that connection as I move, so forth, various places. And people would see me from time to time, and they was just out of the clear blue, make an effort to speak. I'm no different than anyone else. But most of the time when I'm moving, I always have a camera with me.
Well, I would like to say you are a renowned photographer, so maybe a little different than other people?
Maybe.
Maybe a little different. Okay. This next picture that we are looking at, I love it, even though it's four beautiful black boys just having fun, probably in the Texas heat. I saw myself in this because I remember as a kid jumping on old mattresses.
Yeah.
Yes, because we didn't have trampoline.
That's right.
Could not afford a
That's right.
trampoline, so you just made
You
fun.
improvise.
You improvise. And when I
That's
see
the joy
this,
of life, is how we improvise.
yes.
And how we, more or less, do it.
Yes, and I'm telling you, when I seen this, I started laughing and smiling because I was like, that was me. That was me, and they are having such a great time. And it really looks like they are like taking turns. So he's jumping for a few minutes, and then the next person will get up and jump for a few minutes. And these mattresses are clearly very old. You have the stuffing coming out, the springs are everywhere.
Well, you don't see spring mattresses anymore.
don't.
It's the foam.
It's the foam.
It's the foam.
The memory
kind of
foam.
Memory foam.
Yes, you are correct. So tell me, how did this picture come about? Because they're not even looking at you, or looking at the camera, I should say.
Where you don't interfere with an activity. You make an image of the activity. And they were taking turns, but this little boy, I call it Baldwin's Flying Hands, because he has a shirt on that says Baldwin, and it reminds me of James Baldwin. And so
The author
yeah,
and
the author,
speaker.
right. So really, he was turning flips, and so if I had said something to him, then it would change his whole demeanor. He would put more emphasis up on trying to do more, but this was natural. But to run and to jump and to bounce up that high,
Yes.
gee whiz.
Yes. I remember doing that and just feeling free. Like for the split second that you are in
Sure.
that air, you just feel free, like you really are flying.
Sure. Boys being boys.
Boys being boys. Absolutely. So did they see you? Because they're not looking at the camera. Did they see you walk up and make this picture?
I don't quite remember. And mainly due to the fact, as I say, the least I say, the more opportunities I have to make an image.
Yes.
First of all, this is the most important thing, making the image. I respond to what happens around me. I am an observer. I observe and see, and then decide this is what I want. If it's an action shot, you more or less approach it, if you can, or either it's meant to be or it isn't. So that's the way life is.
It is. It really is. This one evoked so many memories and emotions from me. Again, I know this is in Houston, Texas, but it made me remember my grandmother, Lily Mae Williams, in Orange, Texas. And this is exactly how she used to dry our clothes.
Sure.
She would wash them. We didn't have a washing machine or a dryer, so she would wash the clothes in the tub and then let them
With the rub
dry with the rub board. Yes.
And the wash pot.
Yes.
With the fire under the wash pot, with the blue in water and the bleach in there, and you stir it till they're clean.
Listen.
And then rinse them in the number 3 tub.
Yes.
And do that. Mm-hmm.
All exactly as you just, I remember it so vividly. And when I seen this picture, it made me remember Lily Mae Williams in Orange, Texas, on her knees, doing all the things that you said, and the end result was the clothes on the clothesline in the backyard.
Sure.
And telling us, don't run around those clothes so you don't knock them off or pull them down.
Well, you had a pole that had to hold the line up in the center.
Yes.
And if you was lucky, at a certain point, some people had the ringer top washing machine.
Mm-hmm.
That after you washed in the machine, they went through the ringer, and you still had the end result was to hang them on the line.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not familiar with those, but okay.
Well, other than that, that was better than squeezing them by hand.
Yes, and that's what
Wringing them
she
out.
would do. Yeah, she would
Re-
squeeze them by hand,
Shake them out,
shake them out.
take the clothespin,
Yes.
and hang them.
Yes, so this one, I mean, every picture in here is absolutely beautiful, but I think this one is my favorite because the memory that it gave me, the emotion that I felt when I saw it, and just for that few moments, being able to remember Lily Mae Williams. So tell me about this picture.
Well, we've already talked about it. It's a picture that was on the lines in the Third Ward area of Houston, with the skyline of Houston in the background, and the utility lines, how they intercede and how they dissect and enter the picture. And so, for me, what the beauty of it was also the wind. The wind with all of the clothing in unison. The wind blew and all of the clothing became alive
Yes.
for their purpose. And so I was able to make this image.
Oh,
I
it is
saw it.
just.
And
So did you, okay, I'm assuming you're walking in the neighborhood.
sure.
Walking.
Sometimes I'm driving
Okay.
and I'll see something and I will park a distance away and get out and take my time and walk.
Okay.
And if it's still there, you know, I'm able to make the image. If it's not there, I accepted life as it is and how it appears before me. And if I'm lucky, I can make the picture. And this is what I attempt to do.
Yes. Well, this is going to be the final picture that we look at and we talk about, but there's about 40 pictures in the exhibit. I just want to thank you, Mr. Earlie, for coming and being on my podcast. I appreciate you so much for contributing your time and your treasure to my podcast. So thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
As we wrap up again, Mr. Earlie's exhibit Homeward is here in Beaumont, Texas at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas. It will be here until March 30th, 2024, 5 p.m. So you still have several weeks, several days to make it out and visit this exhibit and see the universal love and care of everyone's lived experiences. I would like to thank Caitlin and the Art Museum of Southeast Texas for allowing me to come in and do this podcast. They allowed us to come in once the museum was closed so we can have the entire area to ourselves. So to you, Caitlin, thank you. To you, Art Museum of Southeast Texas, thank you very much. And to you, Mr. Earlie, thank you very much for doing this podcast, but also making me feel seen in your exhibits.
Thank you.
And you can get this podcast and all of my other podcasts on YouTube Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. And remember, you always have time to listen and learn on the go.
Come on, let's go on a journey. Sit back, buckle up, enjoy the ride with Crystal Petry Consult.